Hey everyone, and welcome back to more The Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword. Previously on the journey, we came back to Skyloft to face the final trial as we'd finally collected all parts of the Song of the Hero, which will lead us to the Triforce. We conquered that trial, gifting us a gem that we then put into the eye of this statue that we've seen since day one, which then in turn did this to the goddess statue's floating island. Presumably, down there is where we'll find the Triforce. This time, we're going to be venturing through there and hoping to find the Triforce. It's a little redundant. Of course, the fact that this is located in Skyloft means you can make any preparations you want to at this moment. I will say, I would recommend taking this time right now to do anything that you wanted to do, whether it be you're behind on some gratitude crystals, you want to do some of the mini games that you haven't done before, or you want to upgrade some of your materials and stuff like that. Now is the time to do this, or at least this is when I would recommend it. This isn't like the last chance you'll have or anything, but this is when I'd recommend doing it, just because it's a convenient timing, I think. I'm pretty happy with what we have. The large bomb bag may not be needed. In fact, you probably could put either the potion medal if you're running with more potions than I am, or another potion, because for example, I have 2 fairies, which I'm hoping to use one in here. Not that I'm going to die, but hoping to use one for each peak. You can always open those anytime you want. Anyway, that being said, we're going to start making our way down into there. Of course, you can tell from these little orbs I got shot out last time. We can use these to actually make our way over to this location, and thankfully I believe we can skip that one there, yep, and just immediately head down here. Music stops. Instead of us descending, we're ascending, which is interesting because usually in all the dungeon intros we're descending. Welcome to the Sky Keep, the place where the Triforce has been right under our noses all along. Which, I guess at that point, though, we really didn't understand the purpose or the significance of the Triforce, but now we do. Those 3 triangles, you'll be seeing that a lot, because, I mean, this is where the Triforce is being held. We know of its significance, and we know what we need to be trying to gather here. Of course, same old, this is technically a dungeon, so you're going to have these little statues to work with. Remember that they're there. We got a chest immediately. Maybe it's the dungeon item? We can only hope, right? Nope, it is in fact the dungeon map. It shows the layout of the area and reveals unexplored rooms. Interesting they're giving this to us right away, huh? Well, as you're gonna see, it's because this is a very interesting dungeon. Not just in terms of Skyward Sword, but in terms of the entire franchise. Master, I have information to report. I've detected 3 sources of sacred power within this building. This power clearly radiates from the Triforce. I've triangulated the 3 sources of power and marked them on your map as triangle, which looks like the PlayStation triangle button, just because the font they use. So yep, we are given the map right away because it's a very interesting dungeon. And that's because, as you're going to see here, there is this, like, tablet thing here where you have these, like, little blocks. If you've ever done a block puzzle, that's pretty much what this is. You can hold it, as you can see there, and move them around. Of course, you can't move any if there's, like, things in the way, so this is the one we can move. So let's slide that down, and we can also slide a few other ones around, like there to that, but we really can't do anything else there. See these little gold pieces, but we'll just say that's good for now. Then have some shaking. Master, I have new information for you. Again, analysis indicates that the shaking you felt just now is caused by a change in the building structure. Now that the building structure has been altered, it appears you can enter the adjacent room. So yes, this is a very unique dungeon idea. You actually have this propose use control panel to move through the structure and collect the components of the Triforce. Thank you, V. Again, I'm very thankful for your. This is a very, very interesting dungeon, not just in terms of Skyward Sword, but in terms of the entire franchise. I legitimately can't think of another dungeon that kind of replicates something like this, where you actually kind of change the layout in such a significant way. You could say maybe like the water temple from Ocarina of Time, because you change the height of the water and stuff, and understandable, I guess there's some comparison there, but really, I just feel like there's no comparing the two. So as you can see, this seems to be a reference to the Faron region, and something you're going to notice is that all the blocks actually seem to reference regions of the ground, which is really interesting as a design detail. But of course, this also means we're going to have to use every single ability we have gained. Oh, nope, I wanted to slow down, actually. Every single ability we have gained up till now to our advantage, because, of course, you know, we have all these dungeon items. The game expects us to use them by now. So, for example, you're going to notice what seems to be, like, essentially the toughest platforming, the toughest puzzles. essentially nothing's being held back, which is which is understandable when you consider the fact that the thing that's being stored in here is literally something that can grant any wish to any mortal. It makes sense they want to keep this, you know, pretty under wraps. So for example, here we're gonna have to actually, which this part's gonna suck because you have to align your swinging with the whip into that rope, and it's just kind of awkward. So we're gonna see what we can do. So I'm gonna try. This should be good, hopefully. Ooh, my Joy-Con. Hello. Okay. My Joy-Con, I think, was like turned off for a moment or something. I have no idea. Can we reach that? Okay, we can. So something I wanted to actually talk about while we're starting off, because there's nothing really new here that I need to explain. As you can see, it's just same old Skulltlas, even though we haven't seen them for a while. Me sucking at the game. All stuff we've seen before, right? Time and time. Come on. There we go. Yeah, there's some stuff I did want to talk about. And while I'm doing this, I'm going to do that. So it has been a while since we have fully upgraded our sword. And I know this seems like an abrupt topic to touch on, but as I mentioned, and I believe 1 or 2 episodes ago, or I think it was actually last episode, when it comes to references and small stuff like that, I really don't want to, like, point that out a ton right now, just due to the fact that I want it to be something that, like, everyone can follow along, even if you haven't played any of the other ones in the franchise. But that doesn't mean I'm going to, like, not point out, like, them when they appear, or point out some things in terms of the grander lore or implications of said lore. So one of the things I want to talk about, because again, you can kind of see what the segment's about, and we're going to be doing that, is the sword that we now have on our back, that originally was the goddess sword, if you recall, is now the Master Sword, which is something, if you're familiar, I forgot they make the sound of monkeys when they die, which is, if something you're familiar with at all from the Zelda series, one of the things is probably the iconic sword that Link uses in all of them is the Master Sword. In almost every single game, there's very few ones where he doesn't. There are a few, but not a ton. And to say the least, also I want to scout here actually, because I want to look around. But some of the things you'll notice with the Zelda series is that Link and the Master Sword are kind of two things that are always like interconnected. Like it's not to say there aren't any Zelda games without the Master Sword. It's just it's a very synonymous part of the series. And as I mentioned multiple times, the reason that Skyward Sword is very interesting and why it's the one I was playing first is because it's the first in chronological and storytelling order. So what the implication is, and you may not, again, if you didn't know that Skyward Sword's the first, is that we, this entire time, we're actually creating or help to essentially form the Master Sword that every single Link will use in the future. So it's just kind of a cool thing. So anytime you see like Breath of the Wild Link with the Master Sword, and in fact, there's a lot of Skyward Sword references in Breath of the Wild. But in any game where the Master Sword is present, essentially you can think of it just as a, eventually something, oh, come on. It's something that this Link had to do first. You know, we were the one who actually formed the Master Sword. Which means, in turn, technically every hero has Fi with them, but we'll get to that a little bit later. Anyway, there's a little shortcut you can access, which, trust me, is nice, especially with maneuvering the rooms around. But also, too, is because if you didn't connect to the first 2 rooms like I did there, you'd have to go back, which would suck normally. But thanks for that shortcut, you don't have to do it. But I just decided to do it now because it just saves a little bit of time. So here we find ourselves in the Lanayru province. Again, it's pretty typical stuff. Ooh, arrows. Seems to be more like the pirate ship area, though, or the one where we had to run through with everybody. And for the most part, I'm just going to try to run past these guys, because, again, I really don't feel like fighting these people and losing even more health or anything. There is floating guy there. As long as we're careful about it, we should be able to get this in the right spot. I think what I want to do... So yeah, you kind of need it like somewhere around here-ish, I think they intend you to put it there, but I'm curious if we can actually just get up here and... Yeah, because the switch is right here. Nice. Because then we can completely, again, avoid fighting that guy. That's small stuff like that where, you know, the game helps you feel like you're actually clever, even if you're really not, which, trust me, I am not clever, but Zelda series is nice because sometimes it makes you feel like you are. Stand on the switch, that opens up, we can place that there, or not place, more like aggressively throw. So yeah, there's a bunch of other stuff lore implication-wise, but again, the only one I really want to talk about was the Master Sword, just because I kind of forgot to talk about it earlier, to be blunt, back when we first got it, mostly also because there wasn't an appropriate time really to do so. But yeah, it's just kind of cool to me that the Master Sword being a big part of this game, not just in terms of gameplay, but lore, that this is the one that started it all. This is how every single Link, every single Link would be able to use said Master Sword, is thanks to this game. So what we're gonna do is put that there, which I actually don't remember what they're called. There's some like power cell things. We can then use the gust pedals, of course, to move this, something we've known for a while. We're gonna make sure we don't send it too far because there's those grates there, but as soon as we step on this switch, it will raise, and you can kind of see what the mechanic is here. And the reason we could just carry it through is because of the electric wiring fence there, so we had to ensure that this got through on this side. But once we've done that, we just need to get this a little bit further, and there we go. Again, it's really cool to me how they incorporated these rooms in, like, the parts of past dungeons, because almost every, not almost, but a lot of the Zelda games, like Ocarina of Time, especially Wind Waker, pretty much actually, yeah, pretty much all the 3D Zelda games for the most part, except for maybe Breath of the Tears of the Kingdom. But even though there's some exceptions there. Pretty much all of their, like, big dungeons, final dungeons, once you have all the dungeon items and stuff, of course will incorporate using almost all those dungeon items in unique ways, which is cool. But I really like how Skyward Sword's approach is, not from the fact of using items, because I think it's pretty basic as far as that goes, but I think the reusing, like, the stage elements and incorporating, like, those elements in the way they do, and especially, again, with the kind of movable, I'm just gonna fight with the sword, sorry, I should move the bow. But especially with, like, the, what's it called? Now my train of thought's terrible. Also, yeah, here, I should probably do this and explain this. Of course, we have this little switch here, which you can see actually moves this back and forth, and the reason we want to do that is because we want to be able to hit these, but there's barbed wire or, like, this iron material stuff normally blocking it, so that's why we have to move back and forth. And I'll get back. What was I saying? Because now that's the problem is I can't, oh, come on, didn't I get it? Oh, I may have flown it back in the direction. Oops. Come on. What the flip? There we go. Apparently it didn't like the maybe where Link was sitting at. I have no idea. I think what I was talking about, yeah, just being able to, like, how you customize the dungeon with the movement blocks. And yeah, it's not like anything where you can do anything like super cheap, because how it's set up, like with keys and stuff, as you'll see, you have to approach it in a certain order, but I still think it's cool. Definitely not the full potential. In fact, what it reminds me of now, hindsight being not even 20, well, hindsight being 20, but just with things that have occurred since then, since Skyward, well, actually, I think it was before Skyward Sword HD, but since Skyward Sword, the original release on Wii, was the fact that Link's Awakening got a remake on Switch as well. And that game has a dungeon maker thing, which kind of reminds me of this dungeon, though it's a little bit more open-ended there. This isn't like actually making your own dungeon. It's kind of a cool thing to me. So here we have a little puzzle block. Of course, this is where that goes. So now, of course, we move things. So I'm gonna explain this now that you fully know the details. So, the block that you're in will be grayed out. You cannot move those at all. The little gold bricks are referencing the doorways, and that's how they can attach from one another. So, for example, even though there's a block right there, the gold piece isn't connecting to it. Think of it like a wire. They kind of need to be connecting for them to actually work. Again, it is still a sliding puzzle, so you will have to be clever with how you move things around. So, for example here, we can move these around this way, but we still will be stuck at this spot, because we have this one up here. That's not going to work out too well, but we do have one back the way we came, which is interesting. So maybe if we get one that's in a good spot, we may be able to maneuver it in a perfect way where we could get something in the right sort of location. Because how this is going to have to work is, let's see here. We're going to have to make sure everything connects. So a good tip for these puzzle blocks is keep in mind, pretty much any spot wherever there's an empty slot for your block puzzle, that's gonna be the key to knowing, like, for example, so this middle spot here, of course I can now move these all four around, right? Which is fine, but the problem is I'm trying to get one in one of these two locations for it to work, right? But the second I want to do that, I can't maneuver these around anymore. So pretty much what's gonna have to be is we're gonna have to actually go back the way we came. I forgot it's gonna do that. So we're actually going to go back the way we came. I'm going to want to make sure that's there, though. And we're going to readjust the room a little bit because we can't really do anything with this spot currently. But we will be able to in a moment. I'm going to have to get this thing back the location where it's supposed to be. Like that. Just because that's how it works. Or, alternatively, we could do this, which in turn would get us to a different location. I think that this is the route I'm going to go about it. Again, there is kind of a way you have to do it. And of course, if you couldn't have guessed, those three glowing Triforce symbols is where the Triforce lies on each of the floors. So you want to keep that in mind. Anytime that there is a location you can enter, so for example, there's no way connecting these, they'll be blocked off fully, so we don't have to worry about like falling through the void or anything. This is definitely probably the dungeon that's gonna be the most complicated in terms of knowing your way around. So if you have trouble reading a map or anything like that, now will be the time to try to learn it. But again, it's nice that some of these rooms and stuff we can completely ignore the fighting. And thankfully, some floors, again, are kind of like one-time puzzles. So for example, we solved the puzzles in that Lanayru area. We solved the puzzles in this like ancient cistern-looking area. Also, I could draw the heart there, but I think I'm fine. Again, I have that fairy. I'm gonna try to use it anyway because I don't want to go fully to waste. But we have that there, which is worth noting. But the main thing is also just the fact that we can run through these a lot quicker now. Speaking of running quicker, we're in yet another familiar location. It looks to be a mix of the fire dungeon, fire sanctuary, and like 12 other locations. Have a area down there. Of course, this is where the bombs are going to be useful. This is also why it's nice maybe to carry like the quiver and stuff, is because of the fact that these dungeons are going to be using items from past dungeons and whatnot. Did that blow it up? I think it didn't. I can't really tell, actually. I'm just going to throw one more for good luck. I don't think it did. I think it probably got caught on the side of the wall or something. I'm not entirely sure. Yeah, there we go. I was gonna say, because I thought it did that, like little zoom in and then the dun-dun-dun-dun-dun if you hit it, but I wasn't sure. Okay, so we're gonna roll through here, and here we have a little bit of seemingly a maze. I believe if we go left, it's a dead end, but it has a little like rest spot. Yep, and it has a bomb spot as well, but I believe we... Oh, I thought for some reason there was another rock blocking that spot, but okay. We'll just grab these bombs, might as well. Of course, you can mostly use this as a map to actually zoom into the little boxes as well, so if there's something you want to take a look at, it's not just like a map only used squarely to tell where things are like located at. So now that we did that, we go to this room. There's some red lava choo-choos, but also a spot to dig. Of course, we have our magma mitts, which makes this much easier to deal with. Hit that. That'll move the gate up above, and we can go back this way. Again, it's all mechanics you probably are used to at this point, but now sometimes done in unique ways, and we have to use them all kind of stitched together. Because, for example, like back when we first did the fire sanctuary, like, yeah, we used some bombs and some arrows mixed in there, but it wasn't like a ton. Here, like, almost all the items are constantly being used, like, in succession to each other, so you kind of have to be on your toes in that manner. Here we have Lizalfo. Is he gonna put up a fight? Nope, not at all. If there's multiple of them, then they're gonna be annoying. If there's... Oh! Okay. That was scary. Okay. Oh, no, that was not good. Okay, so what happened was Link did the fatal blow there. And, of course, it took him out, but for some reason, maybe it's because he was on the slope, Link immediately went into the sliding down animation, almost went into the lava there. Oh, boy. I'm sorry if that hurt any of your ears, by the way. Just, that genuinely shocked me. I don't get, like, startled and, like, jump scared in horror games, but my goodness. In Legend of Zelda, if something like that happens, I don't know why, but I'm terrified. I have a little stone tablet here. Seek the gemstones that sleep behind each statue. If you strike them in order from lowest to highest, the door will open. Okay, lowest to highest, I want to keep that in mind. So here we have a little bit of a type of Wii Bowling. I don't know how many of you played Wii Bowling. I'm guessing a lot, 'cause it's like one of the most played games of all time. Well, not most played, most sold, but most sold. Right? Either way, we can roll it down there, and if you get it right, which thankfully I did that first try, we have access to that location, which would seem to be a good thing. Of course, we heard what that thing was saying from the gemstones, and we already struck one like an idiot, so I think what I'm going to do is just strike this one here. There we go. Of course, it's probably not going to do anything because now we know what the puzzle is, but hey, whatever. Next, we're going to grab our beetle and go up to this spot. We can use it to scout around, which is nice. Take a look around, see what we're dealing with. There's a little spot to climb in down there. And this will actually teach you that you yourself can go out in here as well. This actually threw me for a loop the first time. Huh. This threw me for a loop the first time because it generally didn't seem like I was supposed to go down there. Maybe you can get a grasp as to why. But we can go down here, not jump in the lava, and then there's actually a spot to climb up here. This room was probably one of the ones that took me the longest to complete my first playthrough, just because this room was, like, for some reason, that little spot there, that little, like, I just didn't think to go down there for some reason. So here we have, as you can see, a bunch of trees in this, like, lava location. You're like, oh, I see a bomb. You're gonna try to fly into it. Nope, the tree is gonna get in the way. So what do you want to do here? Well, the first thing you may try is using the Skyward Strike, and that will work. I don't know how many people thought the Skyward Strike. I know a lot of people, or not a lot of people. No, I know a few people. I'm not that popular. I know a few people who have played this game before, and even if they didn't get to this segment, they kind of assumed that the Skyward Strike didn't do that, and a few of them who did, who got to this part, the way they actually got rid of the trees, I think they said they, like, used bombs, which I don't even know if that's possible. Actually, let's test that really quick. Is that possible? Okay, it is. I was gonna say, because I thought it was bombs, if memory serves me right, that they said they used, which I didn't think was the correct thing, or maybe it's not a correct thing because it works, right? But ever since I was, like, a who first played this game as a kid, I always have used the Skyward Strike just because that always was the first thing that came to mind. But it's interesting to know that different strategies work, and kind of cool in my mind that they can be completed in different ways, which is one of the charms of Zelda, is how many different ways there are at solving these puzzles. Once we're up here, of course, we read that tablet. You can probably guess as to what to do here. The one that sucks the most is this one down from before. The thing I recommend most, if you have the ability to, you can try to throw a bomb in a semi-precise location. Ooh, did that hit the wall? That may not hit, because it bounced off the wall, I think. Yeah, it didn't hit. You can hit it in kind of just the right spot. Maybe able to roll it. Oh, I think that'll hit. That's got it, right? Come on. That's like, okay, there we go, yeah. You can use a bomb there. Otherwise, you could just climb down, of course, or go over to that spot, but I always like to do some little maneuver there. Of course, that's the lowest one. That's the middle of the road, and of course, we're next to the highest one, which is right... Oh, I missed. Right there. I do feel like me playing this game again has gotten my aim a little better recently, which is nice with games, because... As I mentioned, I feel like the thing I struggle with most in any game that has something you have to aim is aiming itself. I don't know why I struggle with that so much, but I do. Thanks for the bombs. And what do we have in here? Another spot to dig. We can assume this leads us back down to the kind of spot we were looking at earlier. See a bomb there, and of course we can move this around. First things first, I'm going to hit it in this direction to get rid of this one, which, in case you didn't notice, you can actually hit the bomb twice, which I wouldn't blame you, because you'd think, oh, hitting the bomb probably more than once is actually going to cause problems, which why wouldn't it? It's a bomb. You'd think hitting it with metal claws would probably cause problems, but nope, it actually works out. Now what we want to do is, since how this works with the switching in tunnels is Link has to, I mean, imagine you yourself are like crawling down, right? You have to go head first in whatever direction. I mean, you don't have to, but for the sake of hitting it with your claws, you'd have to. So as you can see there, you have to align yourself so that you're looking at the bomb straight on, push it against this wall here, then you have to go around and then hit it into the rock. Yeah, it's pretty self-explanatory. I don't feel like I need to explain it. At least I don't think I need to. Maybe I do. Of course, now we can activate this side of the switch, moving it back, because if you didn't notice, I didn't really pay much or point any attention to it. We came in here, we actually moved that gate the first time, of course, as you did notice, but we actually couldn't get back out the way we wanted to due to where the gate was moved at, so we had to have access to that. It's a so complicated thing. It's a Zelda dungeon. They're meant to be complicated. So now we can to this side, and in turn, ooh, get our health back finally, and in turn access this hole here, and in turn, okay, get locked in. We're gonna break that. Presumably, again, there's only one enemy in the entire thing here in terms of the type. There are two of them though, which is a little disconcerting. So we're just gonna do our best to get them out. And I'm probably gonna fast forward this part because again, this is nothing really new and I have nothing new to add here. So I'll see you guys in just a moment. Okay, and with that, of course, we have freed ourselves from this cage and took both of them out. A little embarrassing that I got hit there and then missed, but it's whatever. Head up to this corner, we can finally get out of this spot. Nothing super entertaining, but hey, you know, it's meant to challenge us, which I guess it kind of did. We get to another little location here. You can see there's the tiles scattered around. And now, of course, we can't move this one, but we can move this stuff around, so we could move these. Trying to see what we'd want to do here if we did that. Could make another square there out of them, but it doesn't really do much. I say we keep this kind of like this. Keep this like this. It would be nice if we could have gotten like, ooh, actually, hold up. Maybe able to do some shenanigans of sorts, like bam, 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 bam. Look at that, we made a giant square. So that just means we have more rooms to access should we need them. Yeah, because we haven't done that room either, because you can of course see which rooms we've been in. That was the starting room. That is, of course, the Farron region. This is the Linear region. This is the Elden one. So we've gone to all 3 of the surface locations, meaning we only have these 3 left, which would presumably be the more hard mode related ones. Once we're in this room, we also can activate the switch, meaning we can get around even faster. Again, always activate these. It'll save so much of your time and headache. Just do it, please. So yeah, that would be the way we came. This is where we're going. Which, speaking of, should have some hearts for us. Oh, fairy, okay. Speaking of fairy, I love how I have that fairy and I said I need to use it. Just at this point, I have to empty it out of my pockets because I have no use for it. Which I guess it's a good thing, right, to not have a use for that. Of course, this place looks familiar. It's the bottom of the ancient cistern. We kind of know what to expect, I think, at this point. Oops, no, not that. We have a key there, or a locked door, I should say. Master, look over that way. The design carved into the floor there is the Mark of Furor. I detect the sacred power of the Triforce emanating from its vicinity. To reach the area where that mark is located, I propose you pass through the door in front of you. Wow, well that'd be nice if I didn't have the goddamn goddamn lock there, Fee. Thanks. Except we can access this little room in between, but we can't actually do anything with it. Hence why you want to make that little square there, because now we can actually access this location, which is inside a tree, which is kind of random, I guess. I don't really know why we're inside a tree. That wasn't a dungeon here. Okay, little locked spot here. We can see there is this thing here. If we look in, there's a chest behind this door, but it's locked, which is disconcerting. But we do see there's another way to get through here, which I think that's where I want to go check. And I'm going to head that way. Again, I'm probably going to speed this up just because, again, this walking back and forth stuff with nothing new to add is pretty boring. But again, it's kind of cool that you have these little shortcuts and you can design it the way you do. So, see you guys in just a moment. Finally made it to the other side, and the Zelda series is all about rematches, and boy, am I never been more excited for one. Target locked LD-00-3D Dread Fuse. This menacing robot guards Sky Keep. It is thought to be a similar model to the robot that stole Skipper's ship in Linear Rusansi. As before, when fighting an arrow like this, it's more effective to use thrust text your sword than try to swing your sword away. Yep. Once again, this is a pretty much repeat of the fight from before. But very similar fighting styles. The only difference, I think, is that he's a little bit quicker. I think. There, bam. Again, nothing super hard at first, as long as you're playing defensively. Of course, we can use our Hylian shield, which again can't break, to essentially mean that we can go for parries a lot more and be a lot safer about it. This time, though, he actually has another sword, which is kind of interesting. I believe this time he'll actually move now his sword around if you don't get it right the first time, or if you don't attack right away. I'm actually gonna fall back here because I ran out of stamina and I don't have to go for an attack immediately like that. But again, thankfully, we have that Hylian shield, which makes this so much more entertaining. And there we go. There goes his arm. Kind of cool. You can see that whoever made these machines also put one here to guard the Triforce in another kind of cool test. Of course, now it's back down to the hook, which you couldn't be. Oh, I forgot about that. Yeah, you can do that now. Guess that's good to add that parry. Parry, then we'll wait, there, jump. And we'll just go with this now. Because I did forget he actually did that. Just because I forgot. I knelt that I ever had that happen with the first time we fought the one from earlier. Also, now he's dead. Which, I mean, I guess it's supposed to imply it's like a bottomless pit, but we know for a fact it's not bottomless because the structure had like a flooring to it underneath, like under the temple. It doesn't lead to the clouds, but I'm not gonna question it. It's whatever. I mean, he blew up. He didn't fall to his death, but you know, still. Anyway, now we can have access over here. Really cool rematch for a fight, and in turn access this chest. Can't be the dungeon map. We can presume it's not gonna be an item, so we can kind of give a guess as to what it is. It is in fact a small key, which is nice. Even back over here. We now know this leads to the spot that I said was earlier. Was blocked off. We can now move these around should we want to. Speaking of, let's say, take a gander. Because we know what these are. It would have to have. We really can't do much without moving this one. So I think what we're gonna do is kind of keep those for the most part the way they are. It doesn't really matter if we move the ones around them too much. Because we want to access this area. We have the key it needed. Hopefully now it's a straightforward shot to this first piece of the Triforce. We're so close. Come on. I mean, at this point we kind of proven ourselves to get this piece at least, right? Of course not. Yeah, so as I mentioned the first time we fought some of these moblins, they're going to be a lot rougher with them, with placing them in smaller and tight-knit quarters, which is always the worst. Like, I hate fighting these guys in tight-knit areas. It sucks. See if I can get past... Nope. Okay. I was hoping I could squeeze past them because I didn't feel like kind of pushing myself in more, but it's whatever. Still took him out. We took a little bit of damage, but it's fine. It's not the biggest deal. See if we can draw him out a little bit more, so we'll have all that free space behind him. Do our spin attacks, and really not too much to worry about. They're more so just annoying. But again, with the Master Sword, we do so much damage now, it's kind of crazy. There we go. Oh no, the money. I mean, it's not the biggest deal. I don't know why I'm caring that much about the rupees, but I still, for some reason, it feels wrong not to pick up. See a 20 drop, did not pick it up. Here we have a very interesting room with a bunch of the bokoblins we've seen up to this point, and they're all going to be attacking us. And so what I recommend doing is getting your bow out first. Take out all the ones who have arrows, because they're otherwise going to be shooting down on you the entire time you're in here. I believe there's a few more over there, and I think there's like one or two more. So there's that one. And then we have the blue bokoblins. We're going to move them out of the way. I don't really see any more green ones. I think we're in the clear. Which means we can just go in and go ham. And as you can see, there are a lot of enemies here. Not just bokoblins, also some Stalfos. Also nice goodie right there. Of course, we can kind of go about fighting them however we want. But again, Stalfos aren't the biggest deal so long as you're playing carefully about it. And again, with the Master Sword and like Hylian Shield, we have so much potential for damage and counters and stuff. It's such a cool segment because we start to really feel like, even though this is definitely a test to see if you're worthy of it, we feel like we are the hero. And I know I'm such a nerd, but I don't know. It's just so cool raiding this spot and you know, coming all this way and really feeling the progression of Link, which is really neat. Somebody we've seen before, of course, he has to rear his face as well, right? He had a rematch with a pirate. We had to have a rematch with this like ultimate Stone Master. Which I believe this is the only other one in the game, I think. We're going to fight them. There's the cursed bokoblins. They're going to surround us as well, but again, they are laughably easy to completely ignore pretty much, so long as you use your spin attack every now and then if they're surrounding you. And we can time it properly and also do damage to this main guy here. There we go. Make sure we're just staying in this location. Do enough damage, then he's gonna pull out all four arms, and then we have to worry about doing the thrust and stuff. But again, we also can do other techniques too. There we go. Again, you can also go for counters a lot, but I'm still just not used to going for them, especially without the, there we go. Yeah, if you get a counter, you actually have, I think, a little bit more time to react. I think it feels that way. Oops, let's fall back here, because we had a bit of first bokoblins after us. Do a bit more damage. Oop, I didn't need to do that. I was trying to do a thrust, but that was wrong anyway, so it really wouldn't have mattered a ton. Just attack again. I'm going to get out of this location, because that looks really bad. Keep in mind, these cursed bokoblins don't go down permanently unless you use the finishing blow, but I don't really feel like doing that, because that leaves me open to this guy attacking me, and he's way more threatening than those guys. And now he's close to death. You can tell because his hat's gone. Oop, forgot he'll like switch it up almost instantly. Oop, I'm gonna fall back here because he's doing that. Let's go try to see if I can parry there. We're kind of getting surrounded. There we go. We can get some health from these. I'm gonna at least get one, even though we're not any means in danger. It just feels wrong to have low HP in any game I play. There we go, and there we go. It's all about countering, and unfortunately I was getting a little greedy with it. But you can definitely fight them a lot quicker if you're good with your parries, which I'm definitely not. Also, I think you dropped a fairy? Did you just drop a fairy? You pooped out a fairy, what? Oh my goodness. Okay, well they're being very generous with HP. You can always put that in a bottle if you need to. Oops, sorry, just hit the mic. Seems to be something I do a lot. Just to remind you I'm not a professional at this, I guess. Master Link, you have reached the mark. Offer your sword to it. If you do this, I calculate a high probability that you will be shown the way to the part of the Triforce. Okay, we'll do that. But first I'm going to open this up, because this, again, just makes it so much easier to get around. And so let's do it. Ready our sword. No, don't panic. Even though we look like we're in the Silent Realm, which is because we are, this isn't a test. Or at least it's part of it. That right there is, in fact, a piece of the Triforce. It's one of the three parts. Come a long way. You got the Triforce of Courage, created by the old gods. The Triforce possesses ultimate power, and is said to grant the wishes of whoever possesses it. Just 2 more pieces to go. Yep, we have a piece of the Triforce on us, the Triforce of Courage. Part of the almighty power that grants the wishes of whoever possesses it. Get 2 more to complete it. And that was the piece of courage. Now, we're going to sit here in this room for a moment because I actually want to talk about something. Just because I feel like, again, I want to explain the Zelda lore for people who may be unfamiliar with it. The Triforce is I want to sound all professional, and here I'm saying comprised of 3 pieces. All 3 represent a quality that is required by the user to actually inherit. That being courage, wisdom, and power, which is something you may have heard of also if you've been around in the Zelda franchise for long enough, or even for a little bit of time. This is something that also had to do with us getting our sword. If you recall, every time we actually accessed the Sacred Flame, a piece of the Triforce seemingly appeared on Link's hand. At the time, we didn't really know what this meant, if you aren't familiar with the past games anyway. And Zelda mentioned when we went to go see her before she sealed herself off that we had earned, or we had found true courage, we had found power, we had found wisdom. Those pieces of the Triforce appearing on Link was showing that he had proved himself worthy of those pieces. Link proved himself worthy of courage as he was a courageous person. As, you know, I mean, doing all the stuff Link's done, I feel like he's got to be somewhat brave. Power, I mean, because come on, look at all this crap we have and all the crap we've done. We're pretty powerful. And wisdom, because you have to be thinking to get this far in the journey, I think. But the main thing I want to touch on is the parts of the Triforce in terms of what their deeper meaning is. So, Triforce of Courage is bottom right, Triforce of Wisdom is bottom left, Triforce of Power is top. Random little piece of trivia, there you go. But here's the other thing too, which is these little symbols that we've seen around a little bit. We saw this in the Faron Woods, and we've seen a bunch of other symbols. These symbols you see here are representations of the 3 golden goddesses, which are the ones who created the Triforce. That being Furore for the Triforce of Courage, Nehru for the piece of wisdom, which is like the Nehru province, but her name's just Nehru. And then last is Din, the goddess of power, which is the one up here. And those are the 3 goddesses' names, and there are 3 symbols that are associated with them. This is the goddess of courage's symbols. Whenever you see this, this represents Furore and the goddess of courage. Just so we have that underway, if you see this in any of the other parts of the game or in parts in the franchise, that's what this represents. I did not mean to pull my shield out and bash it. I know that was a little bit of a tangent, but again, I want to get people kind of caught up, and I have all this useless Zelda knowledge in my head, I might as well share it. Anyway, generally for this series, as you may have noticed, I have been going through the dungeons very swiftly, or not very swiftly, but I try to do them all in one longer episode. But I don't think I'm going to do that here. And there's a reason for that, but I'm not going to talk about that, as you can guess, in this episode. But don't worry, I will finish this in the next one. It's not going to be a 3-parter for each piece, 3 pieces of the Triforce. But this first part took a little bit longer because I had to introduce the mechanics. I mean, at this point, we've already... there's only 2 rooms left that are completely unexplored, and they're both of the Triforce, so you can imagine we're almost done. But stopping here was important for something I'll discuss later. Anyway, next time, we're going to venture just a little bit further into the Sky Keep, finally access the last 2 pieces of the Triforce, and then free Zelda from her bindings. Her bindings. We're saving her from her bindings. That's what I'm trying to get at. I'll see you guys then.